The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. This following program is sponsored by Causeway LLC. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
And good Sunday evening to you. Thanks so much for joining us. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa on a frosty Sunday. And we are here to talk about all the latest developments in the world of crypto. And man, has it been a crazy couple of weeks and more big changes just down the road. Let's get things started by bringing in our host and the namesake of this show, Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Russell. Welcome back, Tulsa, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know that's coming up real fast on us, but your favorite, and I'm going to say favorite Bitcoin bros, are back in the studio for another round of Tulsa's Bitcoin-focused radio show. And if you were wondering what to get us for Christmas, well, that's pretty easy. Please feel free to send us some Bitcoin to our public wallet addresses. You'll find it in the program description once we post it online. Oh, I'm just kidding. But you know what? Hey, there is a great sale going on. So if you are thinking about buying some Bitcoin for somebody, well, hey, the prices are pretty good. You don't have to worry about stuff being too expensive. In fact, I think Christmas, actually came early for me this year, and I'm not exaggerating here because my favorite co-host is back in studio. Eric Cooper, welcome back, man. I almost forgot what you look like.
Yes. Well, let's see here. It's been just under 2 months, and what's really, really exciting is a lot has happened, and it's been kind of nutty. And I've been kind of on a perch looking from afar. And but yeah, between life, I was teaching, and it was just going to take too much of my my home life away. But we got awesome stuff coming up, and so yeah, I appreciate it, and I'm back here, and I like, I don't know if I'm going to pop out of a present for you or anything like that, but you are a gift that keeps on giving to me.
Oh, well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Well, also in studio with us is Nick Burns. He spells it NYC. That's Nick Burns from the Tulsa Bitcoin podcast known as the Nick and Griff Show, and Bitcoin miner and founder of Nakamoto Partners, Charlie Spears. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. What's been new in your guys' world?
Thank you guys for having me here again. I'm excited to be back here. I think this is a killer group that we've got together. Man, a lot of good things are happening. Bitcoin's cheap, and I can't complain. Charlie, how about you?
I can complain that Bitcoin's not cheap, but I'm also not going to look that gift horse in the mouth, life's been exciting. The price may be down, but my Google Calendar is filling up. So, here's to an indefinite future. Who knows what the price of Bitcoin will be in January, but I'm always buying more. That DCA hits when the DCA hits.
That's right. That's right. Well, speaking of new things, I think it's time that we break the news to T-Town. Today is a monumental day for this show, for me, for Eric, for all of us here in studio. But some might say it's a bittersweet day, but it's great news nonetheless. This is episode 69, but actually it's, if you think about it, it's actually more like episode 70 because there is always that infamous missing episode that we talk about all the time. We lost the recording on. But the point is, we're making history with this show. Boys, can I get a drum roll? All right. Well, guys, here it is. This radio show is, starting in January, going national. What do I mean by that? Well, January 2nd, Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore will begin syndication on radio stations in Greater Los Angeles, Seattle, and Atlanta. And later in this year, we are planning on Chicago as well. So apart from Mark Moss's show on iHeart, I believe we will be one of the only syndicated radio shows in the nation focused on Bitcoin. However, However, the sad part is, oh gosh, I hate to say this, is we will no longer be broadcasting in Tulsa on KRMG. But the truth is, even though we won't be going live in Tulsa in 2023, we will forever bring great glory to this wonderful city, because this is where it started. You know, we live here, we work here, and we're going to continue to record the show here in Tulsa and have all the great guests that we normally have, and the guys, the Bitcoin bros that we bring on regularly. But I'm taking these guys that are with me in studio. We're going to go take over the airwaves nationally, but don't be discouraged, Tulsa. We're not going to forget about you. You can still catch us every week on every major podcast platform, including my own website, mattjmoore.com. Eric, Charlie, Nick, what do you guys think of this news? Is this good news to you? Are you ready to take this show to the next level and dish out some orange pills in L.A., Seattle, and Atlanta?
I mean, absolutely. And, again, Tulsa, we appreciate you. This is our foundation, and it's not guaranteed that we'll never be back on KRMG.
Right.
Obviously, as we grow, more opportunities happen, but it is a new audience, and in the advertising world, anytime that you go and start triggering out a new audience, that's a good thing. So, Nick, Charlie, are you guys? How are you guys feeling about this?
Man, this is incredible news, Matt. Congratulations, I got to say. I've done this show with you a couple of times with a couple of different guests, and the way that you prepare for your shows, man, is like I've never seen before. And so I've got to say congratulations, and I know that you're going to crush it moving forward.
Definitely going to have fun.
I echo that too. I think in Tulsa we assume, we don't get the quality of broadcast perhaps that LA-based or major coastal cities enjoy, but I don't know. Like I listen to a lot of Bitcoin content across a lot of platforms, and yours is consistently one of the best targeted. And so I'm just happy to be here on the show as a voice to encourage us. We want to educate the people, and again, you can come see us in person in Tulsa. We're not just on the radio. We live here and we work here.
We are real people.
Absolutely. And I just do want to say this because, KRMG, this is a multi-time Marconi winning station, and Russell has been part of this for a long time. So, again, the quality but the reach is kind of something that is the better opportunity just going forward. But, Charlie, Nick, you guys have been with us on a lot of these episodes. What has been your favorite part about doing this show?
Quite honestly, I get better explaining at things. What's the adage? You don't truly understand something until you are able to teach it. Mm-hmm. So this has been kind of the culmination of me now being able to take internally what I've meditated, taught myself, and can explain it to people, put it into words, layman's words.
Yeah, I think mine kind of follows along those lines as well. I mentioned it earlier. I love your preparation for the show, Matt. For those of you that are listening, Matt prepares show notes for every single one of these. I mean, this is so well oiled. It runs really, really good. But doing a podcast is significantly more open and free than doing a radio show. And so I've really enjoyed, you send over the show notes for, these are some topics we're going to talk about, some things we're going to think about. And then I get to put in some time to, make my ideas more concise. And then we get to come in exactly what you're talking about, Charlie, is then we get to kind of talk about these ideas. I think that's been really fun.
All right. Well, Eric, let's turn the tables, man. What about you? What's been your favorite part of doing the show?
When we first started talking about doing the show, close to 2 years ago, it was the opportunity for me to be the dumbest one in the room and kind of learn as we move forward. And so the education from my perspective, and then being able, and I completely echo what these guys say, is turn around and then teach, because there's a lot of questions. And right now there's a lot of questions about what's going on with this place. You look on the socials and you see a lot of people saying, well, Bitcoin, okay, it's dead now. It's absolutely dead. And people are like, they're staking their claim. Bitcoin's died like 1,000 times. So, but it's being able to tell people, hey, listen, like the Lost episode, it was, hey, listen, guys, this is just a correction.
Right.
This is everything. So we tell people what's going on. And so being part of that. And then again, I echo, if you like trees, you probably don't like Matt for the show notes preparation. But the complete organization of everything has been terrific.
Well, this show has not only been an asset, honestly, for the city, but a great source of Bitcoin education, as they've been saying. And I can't tell you how many people we've helped. I mean, I get words and emails all the time. It's been an honor to help empower so many people for this new digital age, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, money is definitely changing, and we want you all to be ready for these changes. And that's why, even though we will be moving this show to other stations, the syndication is going to be important. But hey, we also are still going to be doing our Bitcoin meetups. In fact, Charlie, I mean, you got some information about our next one. Tell the people what's going to be taking place before we go to break.
Yep, we've done a Bitcoin meetup every single month this year in 2022. Our next one and our last one of the year is this Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Welltown Brewing. That is this Tuesday, 7 p.m. at Welltown Brewing downtown. We're doing things a little bit different this year. We don't necessarily have a featured speaker, but rather we are going to demonstrate peer-to-peer Bitcoin transfer in the wild. So this is bring some muffins, bring some drumsticks, bring some candles you made, and we're going to trade sats or satoshis for these items. So we'll be exchanging Bitcoin. It's not to make money. It's just simply to get everybody used to exchanging Bitcoin.
Cool. Right. Well, what should we not bring?
Use your own discretion.
It's the holidays. Go crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely going to be looking forward to
that. Halloween costumes.
Right. Well,
yeah.
It could be Bitcoin related. I mean, it could technically be anything, right?
Yeah, anything that you would bring to any kind of normal exchange. And it's not a gift exchange, it's a Bitcoin exchange.
Yeah. And if you haven't been to one of these meetups, I highly encourage you to go, because meeting the people, making the connections, having the one-on-one conversations with people who are obsessed of this, with this space like we are here, that's where you really start to dig your heels in and grasp some concepts that may be new, but also have people that are kind of just as weird as you. So
yep.
We have fun, so I encourage you to come check it out. If you want more information, you can always go to my website, mattjmoore.com. We got a Tulsa section there that's got the meetups. So hopefully see you there.
All right. Welltown Brewing, if you're curious, 114 West Archer Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right downtown. And again, that meetup is going to be Tuesday at 7 p.m. Hang around. We got a lot more to talk about here on Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. You're hearing it on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Oh, welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in Tulsa, Oklahoma tonight on 102.3 KRMG, talking about some big changes about to happen around here. And here is our host, Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Russell. Thanks so much. Yes, we are back in the studio. We're having fun. We're talking about some changes when it comes to the show. No, it's not coming to an end, but you could say we're going to a new level. We're trying to expand our reach and reach some new people. And you can always follow us at mattjmoore.com or any major podcast platform. I mean, we put this program out there for the world to consume, but yay, we're based here in Tulsa. We're going to give Tulsa plenty of glory. In fact, speaking of glory, I've got a guy who brings glory every day to the stage. His name's Eric Cooper. He's my co-host. Eric, welcome back, man.
Hey, glory. We'll leave that one right there because I dropped the present line. But again, yes, echoing what you were saying, Matt, is if you, maybe this is the first time you're hearing it and you're like, well, this is not very good. This is the worst time to be a first-time listener. But you can go back. Apple, Spotify, KRMG.com, Google Podcasts, YouTube. You can find all of our content that we've done over the past 70 episodes.
Yep. And although it's sad that we're going to end our broadcast here in Tulsa, we're going to go to LA, Seattle, Atlanta, 2023, maybe even Chicago. But we brought some people into studio that we thought would be appropriate to bring in some, educated, well-spoken
savvy
Bitcoin content, right? They're T-Town Bitcoiners, so that counts as well. But we wanted to bring some people in for this final Tulsa broadcast who could really put the icing on the cake. And in studio is none other than Nick Burns from the Nick and Griff Show and Bitcoin miner and founder of Nakamoto Partners, Charlie Spears. Guys, welcome back to America's Bitcoin-focused radio show. You ready to dig into some new content?
Glad to be back, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it.
However, Matt, before we continue, I've got to get our great sponsor a mention. They have helped make it possible for the show to go national so that we could bring a Bitcoin education to the masses. And this segment is, as always, made possible by a company called Hedge. Do you have a strategy to obtain cryptocurrency on a regular basis? Do you plan to automate your dollar cost averaging? What about getting all or even part of your paycheck in Bitcoin? Hedge is revolutionizing how you get paid. Hedge makes it easy to automatically convert your pay into Bitcoin, whether you're an employer or an employee. You can get started in 4 easy steps. Get started getting paid by Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin today. Bitcoin is a long-term play. Start a strategy today. Hedge is here to make it easy to stack them sats month after month. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Start living your life on the Hedge.
Right. Well,
Check them out. Hedge.io.
You know what's even cool is we're still giving away that $200 of Bitcoin. So if you want to qualify for that $200 of Bitcoin, whether you're listening live or later on the podcast, you can still qualify to win. If you go to my website, mattjmoore.com, scroll down to that resource section, and you'll see a button that says Get Hedge. And if you click that and sign up and start having a portion of your paycheck allocated into Bitcoin, it can be, again, as little or as much as you want. It's really up to you. And the cool part about using Hedge is you actually skip that exchange experience. You've probably heard some things about exchanges, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried. Well, you can avoid all that crap by just using Hedge, right?
Who is that?
I don't know.
I don't know who that is, but
Celsius. I never heard of them.
But once you start using Hedge, Hedge will give me a list of emails of those who signed up and used my referral link. So what are you waiting for? Go to my website, mattjmoore.com.
All right, boys, let's get this conversation going once again. Despite the chaos in Brazil, they've officially become the next country to legally make Bitcoin a form of currency. And after being approved by the Chamber of Deputies, the bill headed over to the Senate, which modified a couple parts of the bill and added a few new sections. And then the text, when it was brought back to the chamber, the Senate's changes could be voted on, which has already happened. Now, the current president, who is scheduled to hand over presidential reins on January 1st, has 15 days to sign or veto the bill. A partial veto is also possible. It's an event where the president would be able to reject only one or more parts of the bill. The bill comes into effect 180 days after an eventual signature from the president. You guys think that this is a big deal?
I'm neutral on it. I'm optimistic. I embrace this, though. I believe that Bitcoin specifically, but broader crypto, will succeed given regulatory clarity. So I think it's a big deal that if you can lay the groundworks for a neutral and regulatorily clear stance on cryptocurrency today, that's something that will disproportionately benefit your country in years to come.
Yeah, that's a good point there. I think it's great news. I think it's just another domino that's going to fall, as many more will after this. I think an interesting piece on this is the point of sale side of this, right? The actual infrastructure of, okay, now it's legal tender, but how do we actually use it? And I think you guys would probably agree that the infrastructure is all there. We can utilize the existing infrastructure, but let's just implement that.
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. Brazil's a pretty huge economy when it comes to, considering El Salvador. El Salvador made it legal tender, and but Brazil's is just a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, I can't buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin. And I like to say, well, the U.S. government or these governments make it a little bit challenging for that to be legal and easy to do. If they were to be neutral and allow and say, oh, if you would like to do that, then let's make it happen. I think you would be able to. Then it gets
developed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Then you'd be able to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's safe to say that one of the reasons why Brazil moved so quickly on this recent vote around Bitcoin and crypto regulations was because of what we mentioned earlier, the aftermath of the FTX scandal, which probably a lot of people have heard about. And speaking of FTX, did you guys actually see that Sam Bankman-Fried was finally arrested in the Bahamas on behalf of the U.S. government? I mean, listen to this. The Securities and Exchange Commission accused SBF of defrauding FTX investors and customers of more than $1.9 billion. And in addition to civil charges, Bankman-Fried faces a criminal indictment from the Justice Department. And on Tuesday, prosecutors from the Southern District of New York filed 8 charges against the former executive, including multiple counts of wire fraud, and rounding out the current charges against Bankman-Fried, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission accused the former executive of using Alameda Research to I don't even know how to say that word.
Surreptitiously.
Okay, there we go. Eric got it. Siphon customer funds. So I'm happy to hear this. Are you guys happy to hear this? I know we got like a minute before we got to go to break, but I mean, this is good news to my ears.
I'm so happy. I was worried that he wouldn't see any kind of punishment. Yeah. So the wheels of justice are slow, but they do grind.
Right.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. It was interesting watching it for a couple of weeks. I'm like, are they going to arrest this guy or what? What's the deal, right? But I think he's a fraud. He should go to prison for a long time. I think this is the beginning of the crackdown that we're going to see from the SEC on the regulation, because a lot of these guys are running unregulated. They're selling unregistered securities, right? They're not regulated properly. But I think it's also important to note, and Cynthia Loomis said this, that, hey, these are organizations, these are people, these are organizations that are on trial. This is not digital assets. She said digital assets. So I think it's very important to say Bitcoin is not FTX.
Yeah. Right.
Exchanges are separate from Bitcoin.
Right.
It's what we always say is a tool can be used for good or evil. Again, I think that this is great for precedents, because we need this to never happen again. You need to understand that if you're going to be responsible for folks' money, investments, you are going to get demolished if you do it wrong and knowingly do it wrong.
Yeah.
Right. I can't tell you how many times I got phone calls. Oh my gosh, is Bitcoin dying? I'm like, no, FTX, no, that's different. This is totally different. But you come here on this show to get those facts straight. So stick around, because we got another segment.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been Ponzi schemes before. This was that. And except that before they were stealing dollars, now they're stealing Bitcoin. Right. The dollar's still here, so is Bitcoin. I mean, you can do the math there. SBF in jail and denied bail, but he says he may also return without fighting extradition. We'll see. More cryptocurrency right after the news on 102.3 KRMG. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. During the break, we were sitting here talking about that whole FTX debacle and the very latest on Sam Bankman-Fried. What will the new year hold in store for the world of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology? Who the heck knows? I don't, but this guy might have a better clue than me. He's the host of our show, Mr. Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, thanks, Russell. Yeah, we definitely try to do our best to rally up all the details and share them with you in a very cohesive and understandable way. Sometimes that task is challenging, but to help me with those challenging tasks is my favorite co-host, who's back in studio once again, Eric Cooper.
Sack full of potatoes for Sam. Sack full of potatoes. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, guys, again, if you are just now joining this show and you don't already know the news, this is going to be our last Tulsa broadcast. But don't be discouraged, because in 2023, we'll be airing our show in LA, Seattle, and Atlanta. And you can still catch all of our programs, all of our radio shows on every major podcast platform, my website, mattjmoore.com. And we want you to come along for the journey, because, hey, we live here in Tulsa. We're from Tulsa, and we're going to still make this show in Tulsa. And you know what? I'm going to let Eric introduce our guest today.
Yeah, that's right. And from the Nick and Griff show, we have Nick Burns. And from Nakamoto Partners, we have Charlie Spears. Guys, how y'all feeling?
Feeling incredible. If only you guys could see what I'm seeing right now.
Likewise. Great, guys.
I've got a couple mirrors in my house, and I don't really agree with you. But Matt,
yes,
how
sir.
you feeling, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling great.
Good.
I'm really happy to be here with you guys and doing this, because it makes my job a whole lot easier. But we're gonna go ahead and last segment we were talking about Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX. Finally got arrested, which was a sigh of relief for many in this space. However, as you can probably guess, my bet is because of these recent events, we are now going to have legislation and regulation jammed down our throats in 2023. And this is despite politicians having quite a long time, years prior, actually, to address this issue that we have now witnessed unfold. They're now having to kind of pretend to actually care and do something and look competent, because, a lot of people got hurt in this, and it was very, very unfortunate. But most of the time, when this stuff happens, it's really based on this reactionary causes. But speaking of Bitcoin legislation, we have Bitcoin supervillain Senator Warren is at it again. She has now introduced a bill in Congress to KYC self-custody Bitcoin wallets, surveil users, and crack down on privacy tools. Now, obviously, none of this bill, which is being proposed, is really applicable to the current FTX situation, considering that it was all centered on centralized exchanges and third-party custodians. But hey, can't let a good crisis go to waste. Now, let me be clear. I am not surprised that this is coming from Senator Warren. She's really been against Bitcoin for quite some time. She's been a critic. And it was probably inevitable that she'd put a bill like this forward. However, I don't think it will pass, in my opinion. What do you guys say? Should we be concerned about this KYC bill? Is it pointless? Do you see it passing? What's your thoughts?
We will see if it passes. I don't think I have very good insight to whether it will or won't. As to its effectiveness, I think it could be somewhat effective at limiting people owning their own Bitcoin. But because of the nature of how Bitcoin works, you cannot fully actually KYC every single person. KYC is get the names, numbers, addresses, know your client information. You see this with kind of gold or other financial instruments in history, which are tried to be banned, but because they are bearer assets, you can own them. So we'll see. I think if we look at it like this, like the countries which have neutral and favorable treatment of cryptocurrencies, as I said in the previous segment, will outperform those who don't. And I think this is a negative treatment of that.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure about the probability of this thing passing, but if it did, man, yikes, it's kind of scary, right?
Grandma and Grandpa had those gold bars in their walls, right? And they made gold illegal.
Yeah.
Didn't stop them from having it. But hey, you know what? There's a 0.32% success rate or chance that her bill will actually get passed based off her performance over the last decade. But the truth is, that's most politicians in Congress because there's so many of them, and it's very hard unless you're rubbing necks with the right people. But Eric, let's move this show forward. Go ahead and give us this next.
So in other news, despite this current bear market, I don't know if you guys saw that the Bank of International Settlements endorses the policy for banks to hold 2% of their assets in Bitcoin. This news comes out from the endorsement. It's an endorsement from the group of central bank governors and heads of supervision. Who comes up with these names?
I don't know.
They're the oversight body of the Basel Committee, and which is the primary global standard setter for the prudential regulation of banks. What does this mean to you guys?
I think it was inevitable.
Yeah, I think this is good news. I think we're going to continue to see these dominoes fall over time. I think that a lot of stuff is happening right now that's super weird and super strange and kind of freaks people out. But at the end of the day, it all brings adoption. And guys, if you guys are listening and you don't know this, Bitcoin does not care what you think or what happens. It's going to continue to crank out blocks every 10 minutes as long as we got guys like Charlie out here.
Yeah, this is a big deal. Banking moves very slow. The BIS they're a notable institution. And if bankers are finally getting around to it almost 14 years in,
right.
Then I think it's a number go up eventually.
Right.
I think also, I was going to have, there was another company called FTX that was holding reserves in Bitcoin.
Right.
So then the question is, how do we verify that? We've seen a lot about proof of reserves here recently and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's kind of another thought is like, they're holding Bitcoin. But are they, though?
Had somebody actually looked at it, we would have seen they were holding very little at all.
Well, guys, I think it's really fascinating in bear markets and in stressful times like today that we're witnessing. There's a phrase that goes around, and it is you build in bear markets. Obviously, we're building with this show, taking it to other markets and expanding listenership. But, Charlie, I'm sure you're building right now. You're staying laser focused. Nick, Charlie, why this sentiment build in the bear market? Why is that important to have this mentality?
Gosh, I would say you build, perhaps on the private industry or company side, but also build your knowledge. One of the challenges, we talked about this a ton the past 2 years, is that it is very noisy in a bull market. Everything is screaming at you and everybody is shilling something. And in a bear market, that all goes away, and you can have time. Your phone's not blowing up 24/7 to actually finish a dang thought. So you can think on these things. You can talk to people without them being torn a bunch of different ways. Certainly in my life, I also like to say break in bear market. So I've enjoyed a couple of my first real breaks. I work just as hard, but if you never take your nose off the grindstone, you'll eventually lose your face. So in my view, building both sanity and education is very important, because the most important thing is to stay on this roller coaster.
Yeah, I think you have to have the education piece. Once you have the education piece and you realize, oh, I need to get as much as this as I can, I think you then have to build a good financial plan that allows you to steward what you've got coming in so that you can responsibly stack those sats every month.
Definitely. I find it interesting that in this current bear market we are in currently, it's one of the longest Bitcoin bear markets in its 13 years of history. You often hear that these Bitcoin cycles get longer and less volatile over time. Do you guys think that this is the case? Is this why we're seeing one of the longest bear market cycles yet, or are there other reasons out there?
I think Bitcoin will continue to get less volatile. We empirically see this. We look at the data. Each cycle has gotten less volatile. What's different now is that the global macro situation has changed, and who knows? We talked about this a few episodes ago, that macro now drives everything here. So we'll see if and when Bitcoin finally discovers some kind of new relationship with the global macro condition.
That's good. Go ahead.
I think as Bitcoin continues to grow, as the market cap grows, as all these different examples you've talked about bring more people to Bitcoin, which grows that market cap. And as you grow the market cap, it takes a lot more to swing the markets, which makes those cycles longer and also reduces volatility. Absolutely.
Yeah, those are all phenomenal points. Well, here's a little bit more of a personal question. We got about 3 minutes before we got to go to break here. But the question I have for all of you, even you, Russell, is this. With 2022 coming to a close, and, obviously we're ending our broadcast on KRMG, is there anything new that you guys have learned when it comes to this space? Where is your conviction today versus where it was yesterday or at the beginning of the year?
I've kind of got a unique perspective, I guess, here, because I've literally learned everything that I know about Bitcoin in 22. So This is like my opening year. But I think something that I'm really kind of finding some solid foundation for is what my thing with Bitcoin is that I don't care about Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't care about me. And I think that, Charlie, I actually took this from you, got this idea from you. You said, we got Bitcoin meetups. Why don't we have dollar meetups? Well, because dollar meetups, that's just how we live life. We don't have a meetup to talk about using dollars. I think in a Bitcoin world, when we meet up to talk about Bitcoin, we talk about life. We talk about discipline. We talk about self-responsibility. Right. We talk about how can we be the best that we can be. And that said, Bitcoin doesn't care about us. I don't care about Bitcoin. And I'm just going to live my life and stack these sats.
That's good. Charlie?
As kind of Nick said, finding your own thing. In my case, it took many years to figure out. I thought my focus on energy and particularly oil and gas market research had nothing to do with Bitcoin for several years, and then I realized it had everything to do with Bitcoin. So I hope to kind of further my personal understanding of energy, especially as it relates to Bitcoin, and I don't really need to learn a whole lot more about Bitcoin. I need to learn about all the actual stuff in energy that I didn't understand 5 years ago. So Bitcoin kind of propels a broader and more specified focus on your interests.
I think that everybody who is trying to dog Bitcoin, crypto, and just in general, are the ones who haven't invested any time, any education into it, and they want it to fail so that they don't have to come out and learn it. So I no longer care about anybody's opinion. Your opinion on Bitcoin doesn't matter, because guess what? Bitcoin doesn't care what your opinion is about Bitcoin.
Russell?
Yeah, well, I would say that, and I'm going to agree with Nick, the Bitcoin doesn't care any more than the weather cares.
Exactly. That's a good analogy.
It is ones and zeros, okay? So what's going to matter is how people learn how to apply it and how they learn to adapt it and what it morphs into. I don't think we know yet. I'm going to tell you, as a journalist, I think the jury's out. Is this going to be a store of value? Is this going to be a commodity? Is it going to be a currency? I don't know. And I'm not sure that's clear yet. And now, one thing I do think, though, is with this SBF deal blowing up, that Congress and some people are going to get serious about, actually coming up with some regulations that make sense. I don't know if Elizabeth Warren's plan is that, but somebody better do it, because right now it's a wild, wild west, baby, and people are getting hurt. People are getting hurt. All right, more of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore coming up on 102.3 KRMG. You are listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in Tulsa, Oklahoma on this chilly Sunday evening. It's 1023 KRMG. I'm Russell Mills. Thank you very much for spending some time with us tonight. Let's get right to it because we're almost out of said precious time. Our host is Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Russell. That's right. This is our not only last segment for this show, but the last segment of the Tulsa broadcast before we start going national to other radio stations. But man, it has been a ride of a lifetime, and I've got some great guys in studio with me to help close out this wonderful episode. One of them being my co-host, who's back in action, Eric Cooper.
And I also want to say thank you to Russell.
Right.
Again, herding cats was mentioned earlier. Again, a year and a half ago, we sat down with you and really helped us understand when we were talking too high, too above at people's heads. And you said, hey, break this down a little bit. And so it helped us because our goal was education, and you've helped us educate.
Well, I will say I'll always be proud I was there at the beginning. I hope you guys, take it and stay successful with it. And it's been fun, and I've learned a lot from y'all.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fun, man. I tell you what, it's guys. We got Charlie Spears, who is the founder of Nakamoto Partners, and he's a Bitcoin miner. We got Nick Burns, who runs a Tulsa Bitcoin podcast, the Nick and Griff Show. I almost said Nick and Burns Show.
That would be cool.
That would be kind of cool. All right, well, but anyways, we love Griff still. Guys, welcome back to this final segment.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. All right, well, guys, it's really been one of these things where I want to ask you guys questions. You've been with us a couple broadcasts. Each one of you guys have. Since we're bringing this show to a close in Tulsa, and I wanted to get your thoughts. What's been your favorite memories or favorite moments on this broadcast?
I want to go first. When you trolled your own radio show and called in, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, Russell, I think kind of caught the hint on that one pretty fast.
We cut you off pretty quick.
Yeah.
I like seeing you go from trying to scramble and do it all in-house yourself to being able to bring in medium-level guests to now a couple really high-profile, well-known people in the space and doing really good interviews. I really like some of the particular interviews you did with Alex Leishman of River Financial, one of my personal favorites. And then Mark, the Canadian... Greg Foss. Greg Foss. Two of those interviews, what a fantastic! That's great content. If you're listening to this, go back and listen to the Greg Foss interviews and listen to more Greg Foss.
Yeah.
I have to second Eric's thought there on you calling in and trolling the show, because we were all sitting here listening, and you told me before, we'll have some live call-ins, and we started listening, and I think Eric, you and I were here for that, right?
Yeah.
We looked at each other and we were like, what is this?
We knew it was something because the first call-in show, Charlie called in to kick things off because we weren't sure, and so when we heard I'm going to plant my Bitcoins up on the moon, and it was something.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All right. Well, one more time. Where can people get plugged in as far as the meetup that we're doing?
You betcha. Bitcoin meetup is this week, this Tuesday, 7 p.m. at Welltown Brewing. That's the 20th, 7 p.m. Welltown. It's a Bitcoin peer-to-peer exchange. Information on our social medias, on Meetup and Facebook. But basically bring some things, and we're going to trade Bitcoin for them, not to make money, but to practice sending and receiving Bitcoin. 7 p.m. Welltown this Tuesday.
Eric, you going to be there?
No, I actually teach on that one, so I'm not going to be able to be there. But you guys always pick the Tuesdays. That's when I'm teaching. But
what about you, Nick?
What am I going to be there? Oh, yes, I am going to be there.
Okay.
Can I FaceTime?
I've missed the past couple, and I've missed seeing everybody, and I am going to make it this Tuesday.
I'll FaceTime you. You can screenshot and then make my face an NFT and see what you can get.
I like it.
Barter.
Sounds fair. That sounds fair. Well, Tulsa, it's been a blast bringing you Bitcoin content over the airwaves for, the last 21 months. It's been a ride of my life, but however, this is not goodbye. This is us growing and taking it to the next level. And although we'll now be broadcasting in L.A., Seattle, and Atlanta, and hopefully Chicago, you can still follow the show every single week on every major podcast platform, or you can go to my website, mattjmoore.com. And if you want KRMG to carry our syndicated version of the show sometime down the road, well, hey, let them know. Send them a message. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. Our goal has been to take this show to every major city in America. We really want to give out these orange pills known as Bitcoin and get people thinking about money. So stay with us as we take over one city at a time, because you know what? These Tulsa boys, we're going to make you proud. We're going to make Tulsa proud. So cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Hey, this is Russell. This is Eric. This is Charlie. This is Nick. We're signing off, but we hope that you have a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Tulsa. We will see you in 2023.
So real quick, you skipped yourself. What was your favorite memory from the show, bud? Sure.
Oh, gosh. You know what? Probably pranking the show myself. I was so nervous doing it. I was like, I hope Russell doesn't catch me, but you did. You figured it out.
I will say you've been one of the most prepared, if not the most prepared show host I've ever worked with. It's been a pleasure. Gentlemen, I hope you have a safe and happy holiday season. Namaste to you and yours. Come back and visit us often. The old KMR ain't going anywhere. I'm Russell Mills. Thank you very much for tuning in for Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We'll see you on the flip side.